All right, well, hi, I'm Beth.
And I'm Leah.
And welcome to the You Good Girl podcast. Today, we have award-winning content creator, author of This Book Will Make You Feel Something, and host of the Come Curious podcast, Florence Bark.
Woo! Hello! Thanks for having me.
We're so excited.
We are so excited. I love you. I love your energy so much. It is just like sitting here with like a couple of best mates chilling.
Yeah. I mean, we have a glass of wine, so I think that helps. Whereas for you, it's like probably like 11 a.m. right now.
I've got my Fiji water.
Yeah.
Nice. Very Californian.
Right?
Very Californian.
So, Florence, thank you so much for coming on. I feel like when we were talking about podcasts, Come Curious was like the first podcast I actually showed Beth, and I was like, they're just getting it. They're just being so candid, and you're best friends. And especially listening to it about the visual, I love like watching the visual, but especially when you're on the go and just listening to the way that you and Reed speak. I was like,
the honesty, like it's what we need in a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
We probably are too honest on our podcast.
I love that though.
I just think it moves things along because I hate it when like podcasts like allude to things. I'm like, for God's sake, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to the like deep questions episode earlier, and it's just so funny because there's just nothing you hold back on, and I love that because there's no like secrets, like there's no left like wondering kind of stuff, you know?
No one is left wondering anything ever.
No. Not at all. Yeah, that episode was really quite funny to record and really awkward also at the same time. Like I remember being really flustered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded stressful.
Do you ever have that thing where like you've forgotten to tell each other something, so then it comes out like basically live as you're saying, and then you're like, bitch, I didn't know that. And then it's like, well, yeah, everybody knows.
Yeah, definitely. That's probably happened on multiple episodes.
Oh my God, I love that. And you're probably trying to be very cool in them and like, oh my God, yeah. And then you're texting each other like, we'll talk after.
So true.
I feel like we have the opposite where we're like, right, we'll try and talk about these things and then we'll go off on an absolute trail.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then I'm left with the job of editing out like the random nonsense that we're chatting about because I need to try and make it like an hour episode instead of 3 hours.
Yeah.
So tell our listeners a little bit about yourself if they don't know you already, which they should.
They should.
You know what? I always find that the hardest question in the world to answer because I'm just one of those people that does way too many things for a living.
Yes.
Yeah, your bio is like crazy.
I hate it. And also on Instagram, it's so tiny and you're trying to fit in everything you do and you're like, but I can't. There's absolutely not enough space. Multi-hyphenate millennial over here. So
I love that.
I guess what I'm most known for is probably the Come Curious work that I've done. Me and Reed created a sex education YouTube channel 10 years ago at this point when we realized that sex education wasn't giving us enough. No one really knew about pleasure. No one really knew about bodies. So our main goal was to just basically open up the conversation around sex. We just wanted to encourage people to be talking about sex because we, as people, we met on a porn set and we both had this interest in kind of creating content around this subject. And we would talk to each other about, you know, like discharge or nipple hairs, all the things that you don't talk to people about because you're kind of ashamed. And we realized that by talking about these things about our bodies, we felt so much better within ourselves and just gained all this confidence that we were like, well, you know, I guess we both know how to use a camera, so we'll just record it and put it on YouTube. And people started really liking the fact that we were being so open and vulnerable about a topic that people were so scared to talk about. And, you know, back in the day, 10 years ago, people weren't putting their face out there when they were talking about sex. Everyone had like anonymous profiles, like all the sex bloggers, they would have fake names, fake, like usually just like little cartoon images of themselves. And yeah, no one really wanted to be known to be talking outwardly about sex. So we were like kind of some of the first people to be like, no, we're okay putting our face out there because we want to prove to people that there's nothing to be ashamed of when you're talking about this. And the only way you can do that is really being like publicly like, this is me, this is my face, and I don't care. I'm going to talk about sex in public, and that's okay because we all do it. That's literally why we're all here.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's insane because it really is like the first out the gate gets the bloodiest.
Yeah, it's true.
And you really set a whole scene of like not only people that have now followed in your footsteps that do it very proudly and they make money doing it from it, which is also amazing. So congrats to the both of you.
Thank you. I mean, it's definitely been a struggle financially to talk about sex for a living because, as you know, censorship is a bitch.
This is what I was going to ask about. Yeah.
All the motherfucking platforms try and take us down. We're having an issue with YouTube after 10 years of posting kind of content that's kind of just us talking about sex. They've now started taking our videos down and saying that they're too explicit, and then we've been getting strikes, and then once you start getting a certain amount of strikes, you get your whole platform removed. So we've really had to scale back what we're putting up there to like be like, oh, like stay safe. Like we can't lose a 10-year like amount of work that we put together. So yeah, censorship
so awful.
Is really hard.
It is. Even on Instagram we find it when we're posting about our events, and we posted once about like International Vibrator Day. And then suddenly we were like, oh, why are we not getting any more likes or comments? And then we realized we were like shadow banned from it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it also
that happens
like
a lot.
It has so many like roots as well in like sexism and homophobia and not like being there for underserved communities, because I have cousins who are 12 and 13 and the violent videos that I see them watching on YouTube, violent, real stuff. And I'm like, how did you get access to this? And they're like, it's on YouTube. And I'm like,
yeah.
Like,
there's literally like live footage of war on YouTube, and they're taking down a discussion about blowjobs. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
It makes
fully is. This world is so fucked, but
it's a lot.
You know, we're all out here trying to make it a better place.
Exactly.
That's all we can do, really.
And I think that it's just about just like really outsmarting the system,
which
is probably really tiring, like changing the language and changing the captions and like really having to think like, how do we not get caught out? Must be a lot.
Especially like me and Reed built our whole brand on being explicit and honest, and it feels like we're going backwards. It's like, no, the reason for this was so that we weren't ashamed of using words around sex. Like the fact that you cannot even say the word sex on social media.
I know.
Like that in itself is making people feel more ashamed about having to talk about it. They're like, oh, this word isn't allowed.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, did you read the recent bill on
sex education
in the UK?
Yeah, they're trying to like remove it, aren't they?
They're just trying.
Fucking insane.
It's scary.
It's so dangerous, and all of these people that are putting in these laws are very conventional people that probably have children.
I mean, and it also just puts a bigger weight on our shoulders as creators that are educational in this way to really show up for people when they're not getting the education that they need. I remember, like, there's a few people that I've bumped into in my life that have just been like, your videos were my sex education. And it's like, that's amazing, but that shouldn't be the case.
No.
You shouldn't have to learn your sex education from people talking about sex online. But
so true.
I guess it's better than learning about it from porn, but then that's the other thing where people are learning about sex. So in that respect, we need to make better porn, which is also another thing that I do. I direct porn.
You're insane.
Amazing.
You know what you're giving? It's giving Cher when she's like, I am the rich man. Like, this is the energy. But you're enriched with how fucking cool you are.
Yeah.
I feel like you should be smoking a cigar right now.
I know.
Direct porn.
In like a leopard print jacket.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Should I go and get it?
You get it. Just get it. So Come Curious was you and Reed's baby. And then have you always been a writer because you're now an author?
Yeah, no, not at all. Writing was weirdly, I always had writing a book on my bucket list, but because I enjoyed writing like little bits here and there, and I've done like things for magazines, kind of like article-based stuff, but not loads. It's not, I did English Lit and Lang at A-levels, and that was it. I don't think I even got a good mark in it. But I was, basically invited to make this book. I brought it with me. And it's my baby. This book will make you feel something, it's 25 erotic stories and 25 tips to reconnect with your body and to help you get better pleasure with yourself. And yeah, it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever worked on in my life, but so worth it because a book like that is so needed and helps so many people. And also it's just fun and sexy. Like we need more erotic books out there.
Oh, we do.
This is your gal. Because literally,
I'm a spokeswoman for book. What do you call
book
it?
Porn.
Book porn. Book
Yes, smut books.
Book smut.
It's my favourite word.
Is it?
Smut. So good.
Gee, I love it.
It's
I love
so
that.
good. I'm reading a book at the moment that I didn't realise was smutty until someone I was speaking to about it. I was like, oh yeah, I'm reading this book. And they were like, oh, have you got to that part? Yeah. And I was like, what do you mean?
Is it the fairy one?
No, but I'm also reading that one because I'm a big fan of anything smut. But this is a dragon one, which is...
I love
it. Did you listen to that episode of Come Curious podcast where we spoke about monster sex? This was the first time that I heard that people talk about wanting to fuck dragons.
We did actually have someone once tell us about, I think, is it like a website where you can buy sex toys that look like monsters?
They're very cute.
Yeah.
I love that. But these are people that I would absolutely fuck a dragon if dragons existed.
Monster porn, like monster fantasy.
Like Jabba the Hutt, like getting me.
I learned so many things in this episode. Basically, this girl had done like a full thesis on why people are turned on by monsters. So there were like dragons, obviously like vampires, slime monsters, sea monsters, zombies, like all of it. Like anything scary that seems like a monster that like someone's thought about fucking it.
Yeah.
Well, I will be going to listen to this episode.
That's like, I'm getting notes.
I think it's my favourite episode that I've done in a while.
I think the weird in that, I
interesting.
love that. Like, did anyone watch that movie? I can't remember what it's called. It's about this woman and she falls in love with the sea monster and she's deaf. And she brings the sea monster home.
The Shape of Water.
The Shape of Water. It's literally the most romantic film ever.
I never watched that.
And this monster is giving.
Yeah.
It's giving body, like it's giving slime king, like 8-pack, like, and like she keeps him in the bar.
Sorry, can you just do that again?
Yeah.
Can you?
It's giving. You know what? Watch it. You literally read this dragon porn. I don't know why you're shocked at this. He fully is like daddy.
I definitely would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll need to investigate.
It's like Shrek porn. Like that's a really big. That's a big category.
Is it?
Well, I don't know why. I don't know if it's a green thing.
I see memes about
that.
Shrek.
Is the thing that people enjoy. With your beautiful book, I have read parts of it. We've read parts of it because when we met Reed, we were like, okay, we were so sad that you weren't in the country.
I know.
I know. Alas, I had to escape
to
the land of the sunshine.
Yes.
Which we are jealous of.
We are very jealous of. But like now that the book is here, do you just look at it every day and you're like, I did this, and would you do another one? Do you feel like it's everything that you wanted in a book?
It's wild actually creating a book because it doesn't feel real. Like when you see other people writing books, you're like, wow, oh my God, that's so amazing, congratulations. But when it's you, it's just like, oh, it's just, another thing that I did. But I also find it really hard to accept my own achievements and accomplishments. So like, I'm like, yeah, but if I did it, it was easy.
No,
okay,
well, we'll be your hype women.
Yeah. Imposter syndrome.
But like, the book has gone really well. Like, we sold it in like 5 different languages. So it's like out in Portuguese, Dutch, French, coming out in Spanish and Polish also.
Wow.
Which is actually, that's insane. Like, having your written words translated into a different language. Like, I wasn't even expecting that when I wrote this book. And we're just about to start distributing it in the USA in June as well, which is super exciting.
Wow.
So it is wild having written something like this.
Yeah.
It was a labor of love. I wrote the whole thing in 2 months, which is crazy.
God.
Wow.
That was my deadline. The pressure, guys.
You had a 2-month deadline.
Well, they gave me 3 months, and then I decided to go on holiday for one of those months because I was really burnt out.
You're like, screw it, I'll do it in 2. Like, it's a research
I
trip.
regretted it. Yeah, I regretted that decision.
That's okay.
That's something we would do, the avoidance.
No, exactly.
Yes. I mean, I'm probably one of the world's greatest avoiders. I'll always just do other work to avoid doing the work that I'm supposed to do that's on a deadline.
Yeah.
That kind of
I think
thing.
I'm a bit like that. I think you are just programmed to be like, I don't mind, I'm just going to get it done.
Me?
Yes.
Well, actually, no, I read a thing once that was like, every day you should have like a scary hour where you do all the scary things that you like are putting off, and like you just get it done for an hour. And I just started doing that once, and then everything got better, you know? The scary hour took away the scariness.
Wow, maybe I should do that. The scary hour sounds good.
Yeah.
It's productive.
But I think doing it at a kind time of day, because there are actual scary hours of the day.
Yeah, no.
Like the first hour that you're awake. Remy, literally, this is the best dog. Remy, you have to go. You have to go. Charlie, get your
I left
damn
my dog outside.
Yeah. Oh my God.
She's chilling.
Yeah, like the first hour you wake up, not a good hour. And I feel like the last hour before you go to bed, that should be your peaceful hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this should be like, I would say 11 a.m.
11 a.m. is
Get it out
probably
of the
a good
way.
one because I always find that I get more tired after eating food.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, also as women, what I read recently about cortisol and how at 3 p.m. our cortisol like dips so much that you basically should plan all of your things you need to do before 3 p.m. because you're just going to dip at that time of day no matter what.
Is that like a hormone?
Literally was experiencing this last week.
Yeah, it's a thing.
And
also,
I had like so much stuff to do as well. And I was like, why can't I fucking get in this fucking headspace? And I was like, but I'm tired.
yeah, it's so hard. And you have to like, they call it front loading your day. So you just put all the like important stuff at the beginning. And then by 3 p.m., like women are supposed to be resting. We should be resting for the rest of the day. That's what they say.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know, when you have a day bath and you feel like you're being really naughty and you're like, I shouldn't be enjoying this thing in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
But it feels so good. Like if you have a day nap or you have day sex and you're like, oh God, I should be getting on with things. But your body's actually like, this is lovely. You should do it more.
We need this. Yeah.
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 Amazing.
I think that there needs to be more research into women's cycles and hormones and things like that, and like how best can we be productive, because I feel like probably the workforce is based on men and it just
100%.
doesn't work for us the same way. We're built differently. But I definitely get that working in the morning for me is always better. If I'm like ready by like 9 a.m. to start working, sometimes I'm like working from 8 a.m. until about like 12, 1-ish, and I'm like, oh, I feel really good with myself. And I got loads of stuff done, so productive. And then the rest of the day I don't have all that pressure.
Yeah. They actually, I'm a big believer in all of this stuff. I read a lot about it, but they say that the kind of 9 to 5 hours were built around men having a wife to come home to that's already cleaned the house, done the cooking. And so you're supposed to come home and 5 p.m. your dinner's on the table, everything's cleaned. Yeah.
I cannot. And this has been made into routine. Like,
And now we're having to do it.
no, I rebuke it.
I know.
Absolutely not.
I research this stuff and then I just sit there in anger at my 9 to 5 like...
I know. I think I'm so anti. Like, literally, my boyfriend is a prince, and if he does anything to annoy me that has nothing to do with gender roles, I scream Handmaid's Tale at him. And he's like, Leah. And I'm like, Handmaid's Tale, I'm not going to do it. And he's like, okay, don't.
That's a fair response.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. We can't go back into those dark times.
No, you can't.
I would not do it.
It's like the women that are like, I wish I was born in the era where women couldn't go to work. Which is
There's
so
a
bad.
whole fucking internet movement of that right now.
No.
There's
Yeah.
like all the Gen
Housewife.
Zs are like deciding that they want to be housewives. They're like, wait, this is hard. Like, can't I just not work? And then they become it's like the trad wife. I kind of get where it's coming from in a way, because I feel like as women, we're just expected to do so much.
Yeah.
And like it got to a point where, you know, we were all supposed to be hyper independent. We were supposed to we're supposed to have it all. We're supposed to have the career, we're supposed to have kids, we're supposed to have a partner. And like that's too much. So I kind of get why people are like, hang on a second, like I don't have to.
Yeah.
But it's like so anti-feminism. So it's
I
like how do we
know.
make this more of a balance instead of people going back into the dark ages?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like if it's just like she's getting the princess treatment, then I'm like, get it. Like, I love that
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you want that to come with a certain level of like, okay, well,
Yeah.
then treat me like a queen too.
Yeah. I think we should get princess treatment from
Agreed.
our partners. Like,
Yeah,
I want my
absolutely.
partner to pay the bill. And, like, especially when I'm not earning enough money. Or if they earn
relatable.
more money. It really
Yeah.
depends on the circumstance.
No,
But at the moment,
exactly. Yeah.
I went on a date with my girlfriend last weekend, and I'm going to call her out on this. She knows I was talking about how stressed I am about my finances. She is in a really good job and earns a lot of money. And she put her card down to pay the bill for the food. And as gesture, I'm like, oh, I could sell you the money if you want, like the cash, I don't know, the American version of, you know, Venmo and shit.
Yeah.
But like, and in my eyes, I'm like, she's going to say like, don't worry about it, honey. And she was like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. And I was like,
The worst.
No.
what? In my mind, like, this isn't how I would treat you if I was in that position. If I
Yeah.
had more money and someone, even a friend, like anyone that was struggling with money, I'd be like, don't worry, babe, I've got this. And that would make me feel
1000.
really nice.
Yes.
Like, I think that's, people are weird with money and it really pisses me off.
We speak about this a lot because
Yeah.
one, that's automatically the ick. And I don't even think that's like
Right?
expecting princess treatment. I genuinely
No.
feel like if me and Beth, or either one of us are broke,
Yeah.
it'll be like, okay, come to me and I'll cook, which means I will buy the food, I will cook the food, and I
Yes.
don't want you to worry because I want you to have a good time.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Beth will be like, I picked up a bottle of wine, like Lila, like
Yeah. We
Yeah.
always say when we have like a friend that we know has money and they're like being super tight, it gives us the ick.
it really does.
100%
It really
agree with that. Because generosity is
Yeah.
a really nice trait to have.
It is.
And it's also like I just have this thing where like my boyfriend is so proud, and like now and again like I have to be very sneaky of like, oh, I just got the coffee, like I'll just go and like pay it. He's very, very proud. But I just feel like, why would you want to know that your partner is like now stressed about money because of the burger they just ate? Like when you know that it's no
Yeah.
deal for you to, like, it's no skin
Yeah.
off your back,
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
is, like to pay for it. And then also the truth is, if it's like someone you're like sensual with, your partner, whoever, it's not giving, I want to now go home and rip your clothes off. It's like, I like, have a great night.
Like, I want to be like, oh, thanks, daddy, you know, like whatever
Yeah.
gender they are. Like,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then like it was just McDonald's chill, and you're like, I don't care. Dad.
Yeah, it's still sweet. It's
sweet.
it's the thought that counts.
Yeah,
And
it is.
I love doing that for people as well. Like, I love being the person that's like, don't worry, I've got this latte.
Yeah,
It's
although-
a power thing as well. It's like, no, put that down.
Yeah, but I feel like I do it in like situations where I do not have the money and I'm going around drunk, like shots on me.
No, you've got to stop doing that. Your girlfriend knows now, and she's probably literally been like, I'm never taking you out on a date again. Or she'll be like, I'm so
Wait,
sorry,
okay.
here's £20.
I have a question for you. Would you bring this up with your partner?
Yes.
Oh, it's hard though, isn't it? Because like,
I'm like, you fuck, yes. Yes.
I feel like if it actually annoyed you, then it is good probably to like air that out. But then at the same time, it is hard because I feel like we always like, we're feminists in this room. We fight for like equality. So we're like equal, like we're going to split the bill. And then when you don't want to split the bill, they're probably going to be like, thought you were a feminist.
No, I would be deeply hurt. Like Beth's level of getting stressed, like I would already have been there 3 hours ago. I've seen Beth like actually stress like very little times in the last 10 years. Whereas even if like the bill got put down and Keshav was alluding to like how are we gonna pay, I'd be like, I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that because I'm now gonna be in a really bad mood. Because if I've been like, I'm really stressed about money, and if you knew they were fine with money, it's like for me,
read the room.
I then break down our whole relationship and I'm like, we're not caring for each other in this relationship. Like this is making you feel unsafe.
That is what it comes down to. That it feels like an act of service. It's a love language.
Yeah.
It's caring for someone, and not having that care makes me feel like, oh, how much do I mean to you in this relationship if you're not ready to put down like $30 for a pizza and a drink?
Did you tell your girlfriend afterwards?
No.
This is the subtle
you did
hint.
Now.
This is why I asked the question. I was like, should I?
Oh my God. Okay, yes, absolutely. Because now, when did this happen? A week ago?
Yeah, on Sunday, so like a couple of days ago.
You're still thinking about it. So
it's gonna brew.
Definitely tell her.
I just have this thing with money when people, because I'm such a generous person. So when people aren't acting like I act, I'm like, hold on a second. Do we have the same morals?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Yeah, no,
yeah, for sure.
And money gets icky. So bring it up in a light-hearted way and then very quickly be prepared to be like, I'm being deadly serious.
Thanks, agony aunts.
You're welcome. Okay, so I don't know if anyone notices. We've got these dewy, sexy glows. It's rain. It's rainwater.
Yeah.
Florence, however, has an actual glow because
of the
where
sun.
are you? Where are you right now, Florence?
California, in the desert.
Living my dream.
Yeah. I wants to kill you, like actually skin you alive and wear you as a suit.
And walk around California as you.
Cool. Yeah, you can do that.
Oh my gosh. So this is a fairly recent move. Please tell us everything because this is actually wild that you did this.
It is kind of wild, and I think about whether I should have done it or not done it every single day, and then I go outside and look at the mountains and I'm like, you should definitely have done this. Like, this is right. Like, living in the sunshine with nature, it's just, I'm so grateful to be here. It's crazy, even though it's caused me the biggest upheaval in my career, finances, life that has ever existed. And everyone says that moving's hard, but you don't really realize how hard it is until you do the move. But this was something that I always had in the back of my mind since the age of like 17. The first time I have an uncle out here in California, in LA, and I came out to visit him, and I came over and I was like, how come everyone's like living in a summer holiday? Like, I don't get this.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't fair. I want to be living in a summer holiday. Like, they get to do this 2-week thing that I think's amazing, like every single day of the year. I need to figure out how I can be also doing that, because like growing up in the UK, what the fuck?
No,
I know.
You turn into a snail. You have no fucking sunlight. You're
snail?
a snail. Or a mushroom. You're just damp and you're cold and like, it's just very not good.
Yeah. So I just always had this dream for myself from the age of 17, and then I got into my 30s and I was like, I don't have a partner. I don't have like a job that ties me down to the UK. And I was like, maybe now's the right time to be making this move. So yeah, I guess I just kind of was like, I'm going to jump off the cliff at this point. Like, I'm not happy in London. The UK is depressing me. I just got out of a really I had the biggest heartbreak of my life, basically. Like, when I was was I 30 at that point? Yeah, it must have been like when I just after turning 30. And suddenly London became memory city of this relationship and my love for this man. And yeah, so there was part of me that was just like, I need to move away because of this heartbreak. Also, like, I need to start again. I need to start afresh. I can't be living in a place that reminds me of all the beautiful times that we spent together. So yeah, finally pushed my ass out into the States, and it's been a very expensive, lengthy process with immigration lawyers and all of that stuff. So if you're going to make a decision like this, don't take it lightly. I think I took it a little bit too lightly. It's been one of the most stress-inducing things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
But then...
Because you're in the desert. Because you're not in, like, Central California. You really are, like, in the desert.
I lived in LA for, like, for over a year. And... I mean, I love LA, but I just weirdly ended up in the desert because of another relationship that ended very, very badly. And then decided that I was like, well, maybe I ended up in the desert for a reason. So but yeah, I don't know. The desert always called me. It was like this, it has this like weird, like peaceful, it just radiates this like glorious, peaceful energy that just calms your nervous system. And the nature is so beautiful. It's just the fucking opposite to the UK.
Yeah,
like, maybe I was just basically like, let's get myself out of the UK and do the exact opposite because I didn't like what was happening over there. So just flip reverse, put myself in the desert. And obviously, as a millennial, I grew up with all the American TV shows and always glorified how beautiful California was in particular.
Yeah, I definitely relate to that. I feel like I always had a dream of moving to like California. And when I turned 21, I went to LA on like a big trip because I was like, this is my place.
Yeah. How did it go?
It is amazing. It was fun.
Did you nearly get smuggled into Mexico?
I got invited to go to Mexico by some men, and everyone's literally like, you were almost like kidnapped. And I was like, no, they were just being nice.
But I don't think they said Mexico. They were like, come to this bar. And then you Googled it and it was past the Mexico border. And they were like, oh, it's a bit far for me.
They wanted to take me to Mexico. But it was fine. I came home.
I don't think that would be a good idea.
Well, you really would have done well in Mexico. I really think that.
I want to go to Mexico.
Okay.
I think it'd be fun.
We could go.
One thing that I would want to say about moving country is you cannot prepare for the loneliness of moving away from everybody you know.
Yeah.
And creating new friends, because the new friends that you create they're fresh. And, you can't have deep friendships necessarily straight away with people. People aren't going to be supportive of you like they would have been if they were your old school friends.
Yeah.
You don't have the same support network in any type of way. So I've felt like when I've been going through a bad time here, I haven't really had anyone to lean back on. Luckily, I have my uncle, but he's not like the best emotional support person.
Yeah.
But at least like there's someone there. But that has been very, very, very fucking difficult. Like recreating a community. Yeah. But the one thing that I have really explored whilst being here is the queer community. I haven't ever really been super engaged in it in London. I don't know why. I just like never met the right people. Yeah. But out here, I just started infiltrating the lesbian scene, and really like helped me become so much more accepting of my own sexuality as bisexual, and that's been like a whole journey. And I really, really appreciate all the friends that I've made in the queer community here, because that has been a game changer.
That's amazing.
I feel like, is it that feeling of like, because I know for us especially, being amongst so many beautiful queer people, but definitely having that feeling that like you're not queer enough and you don't wear the right thing and you don't know the museums, you don't know the books, and it goes so much deeper than knowing where to go in a club. It almost feels like it becomes a personality trait of like almost like intelligence, and it's just like it can get very overwhelming. So for you, was it like, I can just start my own clean slate here?
Yeah, it's like a fresh start.
Basically, yeah. Yeah. Because I think, like, if I was going to... It's weird because most of my friends in London are all bi. Like, I realise, like, oh, like, all of my good girl friends are bisexuals. But we're all the kind of bisexuals that aren't really knee-deep in the queer scene. So
Yeah.
we've kind of
that
got
is
each
relatable.
other. But it's like, but really we act and get away with being very straight facing and not very queer. But here I was like, you know, I was suddenly invited to Dyke Day and like all the lesbian cruising parties. And I was like, this is like, this is such like it was an interesting experience. And also, suddenly seen.
Yeah.
But then also the imposter syndrome of like, ooh, am I gay enough to be here? But I think what I discovered was having friends in that community accept me and bring them into their own world. That was the acceptance that I needed.
Yeah.
And I think also it's really funny because like when we talk about community and talk about like belonging in that way of like, it's almost like you don't realize that actually you're doing it. Like when we put on You Good Girl events, and especially if they're centered towards sexuality and and like exploring your sexuality.
Yeah.
Someone might look at that and be like, oh my God, I love that there's this space for all these queer people. When really we just wanted to, you know, connect. And I think it's so true. Like on the outside looking in, people always think you've got it. You've got this whole thing. You're so embedded within this community.
Yeah.
And on the inside, you're like, I feel like I look like people are being like, well, where's your boyfriend? And
oh my gosh, yeah. We really struggle with that. Like when we put on pride events or anything like that, we always worry like, are we the right people to be doing this? Like imposter syndrome of, are we queer or gay enough to be in pride?
And it's like, bitch, we're gay. Like, and it's like, we're just gay in our own way.
Pussy, you're fucking gay.
And this also, it's just like, I feel like the people that think that, because we spoke about this before on our podcast, like, you know, we've been very, very lucky that everybody, you know, mine and Beth's journeys of like going through our different, connecting with our sexuality, and it's been totally different. But I do feel like everyone we're around right now, whether they're queer, they're bi, they're straight, are just so, it doesn't faze them, but they're also not awkwardly like unfazed, like I don't want to speak about it.
Yeah.
People ask questions, they're interested, and I think that's a really beautiful time to be in.
Yeah.
But I also know that I have had a couple, and I say a couple, i.e. one friend in the past that I really feel like I stunted myself for such a long time because I was like, you are the epitome of queer, and I absolutely feel like I am taking something from you by exploring that side of me, because it was always yours.
But they didn't allow you to explore that, and they didn't want you to like show that part of yourself, which I think is why it stunted you.
But the funny fact is, I didn't start sleeping with women until we weren't friends.
Wow.
Which is actually so interesting because
that is. And I feel like there's this kind of stereotype of the queer community being really like gatekeepery. And I think that's what kept me kind of out of it for so long, because I felt like, I'm not going to be accepted in the queer community because they're going to think that I'm not gay enough. And there's a huge stereotype of especially lesbians really shunning bisexual women. Yeah. And like not wanting to date bisexual women. Like it's a whole thing.
No, totally.
Yeah,
I think that's been an age-old situation. But I think that so you felt more like that in London than you are now where you're at.
I wonder if I was just gatekeeping myself though. Like it was just I wasn't really allowing myself to explore my sexuality. I was keeping myself in a box because I was so scared of it. I didn't know how to approach it at all. I remember like my first like realization that I was like, oh fuck, I actually do really like women was when I was like 21 and I binge watched The L Word, and I was like, representation, like just seeing women be in relationships with women and like seeing the sex scenes and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, I've never seen anything like this before. And especially as a gay woman, like you still don't see enough. Like there's only just starting to be like lesbian relationships trickled into mainstream media, but it's only just happening in 2024, which is crazy. So like I guess because I didn't have the representation out there for myself, and I was never like in a position where I connected to anyone in the scene. I never felt like I could just engage in it. Otherwise, like it could have been me like being like, okay, I'm gonna go to Pride, or I'm gonna go to a gay club or whatever, but I never felt like any of those spaces were welcoming for me. But I also think that was just my own hang-ups and my own fear, and probably like internalized homophobia and, you know, all of those things, the imposter syndrome, just like not feeling gay enough to be involved. It was only really until, I don't know, being in my 30s that I was like, okay, like let's just start saying what I am. And then by kind of opening up and being like, yes, I am bisexual, was when things started to unfold and people started to invite me into their spaces.
I feel like also we kind of act as though the queer community is a club that you have to be invited into. But I feel like often it is you taking that first step of being like, I am queer, I am gay, I am bi, and I am going to go to these events and meet these people. And I'm going to put myself in situations where I find this community. And I do agree. I think we do often, when you're in the beginning of your journey, you do kind of gatekeep yourself and you have this fear of the community. But at the end of the day, they're probably like, the queer community is probably one of the most welcoming,
no, 1,000%,
and understanding ones you'll ever meet.
1,000%. And like, I think that obviously community is an insanely beautiful thing, and I think there are just a few people that weaponize it, and then you just become like absolutely terrified. But I think the truth is you just come correct. It's like anything. It's like, you know, white people putting themselves into POC spaces. Are you an ally? Like, do your research, know what kind of spaces you're going into. And that takes very little, and it goes a complete long way. And I think they're the only rules that should and need to be adhered by you when you're going into these spaces. Other than that, I really think like the amount of times like at the beginning I'd be like, oh well, I've got a boyfriend, and I would almost like start it with like a like having to sell myself, and I'd be like, no,
or like making excuses to why you have a boyfriend.
Or just being like,
I still feel like that these days. Like I went out for a drink, a non-alcoholic beverage with my friend this weekend, and there was just like people around, and it was like there's like a very queer space here in the desert, and like obviously the waitress is probably queer and all of those kind of things. And then I suddenly felt like I was judging myself and being like, whoa, like, do I look straight right now? Like, I don't want to look straight.
I know, I feel like that every day.
Experience.
And it's like, what do I need? Get me a carabiner. I promise I'm a lesbian.
It's a fucking curse being attracted to men still, for real.
It is.
No, I just hate that though. But I think that's like, it goes with like any kind of dating spectrum. I think that like people are always going to be like slightly judgy. Like, I am not joking. I feel like personally for me, all of the experiences that like me and my boyfriend have been like wonderful. But especially like we speak about this quite a lot. Like, we used to live with two gay guys, and the level of like racism and body shaming that they would receive from other gay men would blow my mind. And I think I experienced that a lot because my boyfriend is Asian. Not that anyone would dare say anything to my face, but if they don't know about him, the amount of conversations I've had with people, and they'd be like, oh, I just don't really sleep with like white guys or like Asian guys, like it's only like black guys. And I'm just like in this space being like, I want to like rip your face off right now. And also like this makes me just, why are we getting into this place of, you know, we're already people that are probably quite nervous and have gone through quite a lot of like, to get to this area, like to get to this party, this club, this meetup. And you have people out here openly being like, well, no to this kind of person, this kind of person.
Yeah.
It's
Isn't
crazy.
It's probably just worrying about what other people think too much and not like just allowing yourself to be and exist. And I think we've not been allowed to exist as bisexuals because people have like, there's just like such weird stereotypes and like, you know, bisexuals are greedy or they're just like sexually promiscuous.
They can't
like,
make their mind
make up their
up.
mind. Yeah, it's a phase, you know, and all of these different
What will you do about
things.
babies? How will you have babies? Like,
They'll settle down with a man eventually.
oh no.
Yeah.
So how
It's
were
all
your
fucked.
friends? Like, did you speak to your friends when you felt like you wanted to share how you were feeling about being bi?
Did I speak to my friends? I feel like I spoke to Reed a lot about stuff like this. I mean, we did like a couple of episodes on the podcast about it, and our podcast is always like a therapy session for us where we just get to sort of like vent out all of these things. And we have spoken about imposter syndrome a lot, especially as two cis white women who, you know, have mainly dated men in their lives and they're claiming to be bisexuals and pansexuals. And I think it's a huge conversation to have. And yeah, but it's also very hard to approach with friends. And you have to feel like there has to be the right person that's going to be non-judgmental and also maybe perhaps like someone that has experienced the same thing. So like with Reed, it's really easy to talk to her. It's really easy to talk to you guys about it because we are all very fluid sexually and we don't have rules for ourselves in that space. But yeah, I don't think I would just go around talking to any of my friends about it, but all my bisexual friends, I feel like it's a conversation that we've all had, like here and now. And most of my bisexual female friends have the same exact experience of imposter syndrome and not feeling gay enough, not like always kind of wanting to explore and wanting to be more involved with that side of their sexuality, but then always ending up in relationships with men. And even when they're like, oh, I'm going to go off and do like a threesome or whatever, it always like never really happens. But like, this is why I think it's so important to continuously talk about it, because we need to validate ourselves and our sexuality no matter who we're in a relationship with.
1,000. And especially if you're in a happy, beautiful relationship. Like,
and if they support that side of you as well, like you can still explore that. I think like, you know, going to queer spaces and allowing yourself to still have that side of yourself and connect with that side of yourself, even whilst in a relationship with a man, I think is like very important.
It doesn't have to be sexual or sensual. It could just be affirming to your happiness to like be able to have these conversations. I think that's also a very awful trope that bisexual women get and lesbians get of it's always so sexual and it's always just put under this umbrella.
Yeah. We just want to be friends.
we want to be friends who kiss sometimes. No, I'm not. No.
There's actually a new lesbian bar opening up in London, so you guys have to go.
Okay, so my friend told me about this, but this is also another thing. I wouldn't go because I just feel like I would know everyone there.
Like I think you should. Like, I think it's important for bisexuals to stand up for ourselves in these places.
Yes.
We'll go and be like, we're here.
Hold a poster.
No, it's so true. No, it's very, very true.
I love.
And so, have you spoken to any of your family about being bi? Have you ever?
Yes. So I never really officially came out. I think me and my sister had kind of conversations where we were both like, yeah, I think I'm also attracted to women as well. And we were just like, yeah, I think I am too. But without it making it weird, it was just like, we're just like, oh, let's just say it. And then it's out in the ether and no one needs to actually like be like, oh, so you're gay. Like no one has to like actually unpiece it. It's just like, oh, this is the thing. This is the reality. I spoke to my mum before coming out to California and I was like, you know what? Like when I'm in LA, I think I'm gonna like start dating women. And she just like looked at me. We were on like a FaceTime call. She was like, what? Like just pure confusion in her face. Like it was, I could see like everything I've ever said about men flashing through her mind, and just trying to piece together like, how did I not know this? My daughter of 30 something years, and she's never once told me that she's attracted to women.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I never really felt like I needed to talk to my parents about who I was attracted to or sex, and maybe it was part of my imposter syndrome and shame, and you know, like I don't really want to say it until it's like a real thing, until I'm like dating someone. I think I had that in the back of my mind with my parents, that I just
like it's not an issue right now.
I would just say, oh, this is my girlfriend when I have a girlfriend, and they would just have to deal with it, kind of thing. So yeah, after that I did not talk to my mum about my sexuality at all. I would avoid it at all costs.
I think it's so hard with parents coming out as bisexual. I think is so confusing for them, because they are like, oh, but you've dated men. I know you like men. So like, what is this? And I think it is just something that they might be shocked at first, but hopefully they do come around. And I know my mum now is very like communicative, and she'll talk to me about it. She's even watching the new lesbian dating show, I Kissed a Girl. She was the one that suggested I watch it. She was like, you should watch it. You'll like the girls on it. And I was like, thanks, Mum.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's so good.
Yeah. So I've started talking, because obviously I have a girlfriend at the moment. So I've been talking to my mum about my current relationship.
Yeah.
And that's been way better. She's kind of just like, I think just like accepting it at this point, and she's asked questions. I can definitely see her favoring my male partner more, and whenever I'm like more, she's like, oh yeah, look, he's a blacksmith, he chops wood, and
that's so funny that like she is not stressing, but she's like, I prefer your other partner. Like, not the fact that you are in a throuple. It's like, the guy is great. Like,
he's like, but this, like, this is hot. Like, this is cool.
Oh my.
It's like, stop trying.
It is hard. And I think that, like, you know, so many people aren't lucky enough to have those kinds of talks, or like, and the fact that you even said, like, you know what, if I got a girlfriend, which you do have, and I would just wait till I had a girlfriend and figure that out. Like, that's knowing that you can do that is actually so nice, because there are so many people that are like, I would lie for the rest of my life because I need to. And I think that like I have always been the same. Like, I'm the closest with my nana, and I've spoke to my nana about some things, and she's a massive hippie and was just like, oh, and I'm like,
I feel like your nana's so cool though, because I feel like you didn't even say like, oh, I'm bi. You were just like, Nana, I have threesomes. And she was like, cool.
Yeah.
That is fucking amazing. I would never say that to my granny.
But she's not a granny. She's like 65.
She's a young nana.
She's a nana.
Oh, that's my mum's age. So that's not that old at all. My granny is like literally 93 at this point, and I don't want to give her a heart attack.
I send her over the edge. And that's it. And it's so funny because like obviously I'm not telling her details, but I just feel like she's very intrigued. She's like, oh, like how does that work? And I actually was saying to Beth, and I think we said this in the podcast before, I think because of my whole life being around this woman, I have never heard her say anything anti anyone. Like anything homophobic, any sprinklings of homophobia. And so I think because I know she's such a solid, great, beautiful, cool person, it never felt weird. Whereas like in moments where you tell relatives or people, the first thing you before you even do it, you think of that joke they might have made last year or the thing they might have said. And they probably feel so awful about that. But like, unfortunately, it's like, you know, we all say stupid, awful things that we don't mean, or maybe, you know, people do mean that. But I think that...
But hopefully they learn and we can teach them.
Exactly.
Very true. My dad was super accepting. He was just like, oh, cool, you've got a girlfriend, and like asking, you know, questions about her. He was very receptive. But then also people say that dads are way more accepting of their daughters being gay because they actually prefer them to be gay because they know what men are like.
I feel like it makes sense when you think about it. Like,
Yeah.
men are scared of what other men are capable of, but they're like, oh, well, woman, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
Yeah.
so true.
Yeah.
And it's
literally.
the grandbaby angle, I think. And
that's where the mothers
it's
get
and
attacked.
it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't even know. We haven't even spoken about that, but like, just chill. I'm 20.
No, but it's also like ask questions. Like my
Yeah.
mum is quite good at, she will ask me about, she's like, okay, because my sister is with a woman and she's always like, how's she going to have kids? And I'm like, okay, well, there's IVF. There's even, now they can actually take the genetics from, or the DNA from both women and put that into the embryo. So I was like, there are lots of like
There are so many
scientific.
ways.
You're a good sister.
Yeah.
Beth was the first out the gate, gets the bloodiest sister.
Yeah, I was the fast one, and then Millie had an easy ride coming out.
Like that damn lesbian having it so easy.
Wait, are you a twin or is it just a younger sister?
No, she's like 4 years younger, so I had like a 4-year head start.
Oh yeah, I'm the third 3 years older than my younger sister as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do the paving the way, and then
Yeah.
We have to pave the way. The first one to
Yeah.
get tattoos.
exactly. Yeah, my mom
Dye your
painted
hair
my
green.
first tattoo.
Yeah, you make it easier for
Really?
them, and we carry the burden.
It's so true. But I do feel like when I first met, how old was she? Like 13?
Like 12 or something.
I was like, she's gay.
Wow.
Leah was the first one that said it. Leah literally met my little sister and was like, you are gay.
I was like,
and
you
she
are
was
so
so young. She was like, what? And now she is gay.
She's so gay.
Many years later. Well, she's now like
Imagine
23.
if you made her gay just
I
because you
know.
told her. You're like, you are gay. And she's like, oh, I'm gay. Okay.
Leah's whispering in her ear
I'm
every
a
night.
cult leader.
You're gay.
I know. I'm like, listen to Audrey Lorde. You're fine.
Oh.
But yeah, I feel like you feel and you're giving that energy of like, you are accepting yourself. You're going through journeys of acceptance. You might not feel
Yeah.
proud every moment of every day, but overall, you're like definitely on that path.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a long and arduous one, but I do feel like I'm at a way better place with accepting myself and the way that I am, and in multiple different ways with like with every aspect of sexuality, just like being me, my brain, how that all works. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good
Also-
it's good work to do.
It really is.
You gotta do the work.
And
Put
sex
the
with
work
women
in.
is wild. And
Oh my god.
If you haven't tried it.
Amazing. I was like, oh, I was like, this is what men get to experience. I'm like, they don't deserve this.
No.
They don't treat us well enough to like I'm like, we are goddesses. After
Yes.
I was like, I want to worship this body. I don't know. Men don't do that enough. So I'm like,
softness.
what are you doing with us? Like, look at this beautiful,
I
squishy,
know.
soft.
Soft.
Be gentle. Be kind.
Yeah, it's so true. I think I have such a skewed relationship with men because I've literally been with the same man who was a prince for 7 years. So I'm like, I don't understand. Like
Yeah.
So I don't understand. But I do feel like, okay, so for you, were you like, I know what I'm doing? Or were you like, trial and error. We're figuring it out.
I kind of, obviously I talk about sex stuff for a living and I've been talking about cunnilingus tips for ages. But when it actually came down to it, obviously everything went out of my head. But I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? As long as I have the passion, it's going to be good. And I made her come the first time I ever went down on her. And I was like, that I feel
Listen.
very fucking, and she finds
a
it hard
privilege.
to come.
Bravo.
I was like so fucking proud of myself.
Yeah.
and you don't want to be all boyish and be like,
Yeah. I did it.
Yeah, but I kind of was. The next day
We
I was
were
like
like, yeah.
skipping down the road, like, yeah.
oh
make her
my
come.
God. No,
But
it's
it
so
was
true.
amazing. Just pure passion. And then afterwards, it's been more like trial and error, like, because I'm like, oh, you know
Right.
what? If I'm going to put a pillow underneath you so I have more space. Because the first time I went down on someone, I was like, wait, how do people do this when you're just like on the bed? Because I don't have I have to be so flat for it to like work.
Really?
Starfishing on the bed.
You
Yeah,
know, they
literally.
have these pillows they sell, which is actually really such a rip-off. They sell these pillows for like £85. And they're foam. They're basically memory foam pillows that are designed in loads of different shapes to prop you up, which is great because
I mean,
love
just get a £10 pillow.
Just get the pillow, but
Yeah.
also
Put a fucking pillow down.
do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But no, it's all positioning and communication.
Yeah, communication. But also, I feel like we have an advantage anyway because we are women. We know women.
Yeah.
So
The one thing that I think that I learned was I was doing things too softly.
That's very interesting. And were they like, you can go harder, and you were like, okay? Is it because it's like so?
Yeah, I was like, I thought I was going hard. Okay.
They're like,
I'm just dainty woman mouth. Like, give me
oh
some.
my God.
Comparing me to like hard masculine lips.
I'm just a girl.
I'm just a girl that wants a kiss. I actually had a very sweet moment, like one of the first times I was ever with a girl, and I literally had a debrief with my boyfriend, and I was like, okay, just like talk me through it. Yeah. And he was like, cool, okay. And I was like, never in my life would I think I'd be asking
getting tips from a man
for tips about this. And he was like, yeah, like listen, like this is, and I was like, that was a level of teamwork that I was like, I really appreciate this right now. It's like when you get notes before a test and you're like, I'm so grateful to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, I love that. That's so sweet.
Yes. So recently you blew up the internet. Well, I think you blew up our internet because you released a video about your new relationship.
Poly life. The internet loves poly stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, people love hearing about it these days. Like, I think it's become. I don't know if it was like a recent thing, but I definitely only started hearing about it within the past few years. So I think it's definitely something that everyone is still exploring, wants to hear more about, needs to hear about.
I need to hear about it.
Yeah, I feel like it's becoming more normalized, but am I just in that circle where more and more people are becoming poly? But yeah, and it's probably because of influencers out there just talking about their relationships. Maybe it's been more, and people are getting interested in it and it being accepted. And then you've got like dating apps like Field that like really promote non-monogamous relationships, and there's so many poly people on there. I would say that the moment I'm like solo poly, but I am probably more ethical non-monogamy, like through and through, but I just so happened to end up in a kind of poly relationship with two people that were also in a relationship with each other, so it became like a throuple, or they weren't in a relationship. We kind of all became a relationship at the same time, I guess.
Do you feel like you like accidentally fell into a throuple without intentionally?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, because at the end of last year, short story, I was in a pretty abusive relationship, an emotionally abusive relationship. And after that, I was like, you know what? Like, what if, because I felt like I forced myself into that relationship in a way because I wanted a relationship so bad. And I was like, I just want to be chosen. This is all I've wanted in life. And after that whole experience being so terrible, I decided to kind of give up on love, and I was like, you know what if I never find that partner? Am I gonna live every single day like in desperation and in despair of myself and feeling not good enough because I can't find that person that works for me? And that was like a really game-changing thought that kind of just led me on a different path of how about me just getting my needs met without putting pressure on someone to fulfill this fantasy that I've had since I was a little girl, because society told me that I was supposed to feel this way about love. And I think once I started putting those needs first, I was like, you know what, kind of want to have sex again, like that would be nice. So got back on Field and saw this guy who was into rope play, and I was like, I've wanted to do rope play for so long, so like let's match with him, see where it goes. And like I think we had been hanging out maybe like 3 or 4 times before he introduced the fact that he was also seeing someone else casually who was very interested in me. And I was like, okay.
And it feels nice because you're like,
it's exciting.
You're like, that's, I like you like being liked.
Yeah, it was really nice. I was definitely cautious because I was like, you know, I have a certain type with women, and you know, they showed me a picture of her and I was like, bloody hell, like she is beautiful, and how is this happening to me? I actually weirdly met her before at a Mustang sanctuary out in the desert, which is like
a car
horse
sanctuary?
a horse Mustang rescue place.
What's a
Like
horse
very,
Mustang?
very farmyard, very...
Oh,
So
okay.
she had been there, and we'd done that very classic queer women thing where you're like, oh my God, she's really pretty. I'll say hi and then run away.
Yeah. Wondering
and
if she's queer.
Yeah, yeah. Because I had no idea whether she was. I think I looked very queer that day because I was wearing like a big baggy hoodie and some baggy trousers, and I was like definitely giving a bit of mask.
Yeah.
But yeah, but she wasn't. She was very, very femme.
Yeah.
That day, which
You're
is
like,
just,
where's her boyfriend?
yeah, exactly. So yeah, and then we ended up dating, and then we were just like, well, okay, so I think you're hot, she thinks you're hot, and then you think I'm hot also, so I guess we all just think we're hot, so we should probably just continue dating, and it's kind of a throuple, and we all hang out together, we have threesomes together, which have been fucking amazing. Like,
Insane.
just so cool. Like, so just like the best sexual experiences, like some of the best sexual experience I've had in my life, I would say. Like, just so like respectful, equal, everyone's having a good time. Came like so much, which is so hard in a threesome usually.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been really beautiful, and they're just both so communicative and respectful. Like, we always share our feelings, we're always heard, we have check-ins, and we all had like our kink lists at the beginning and shared all our kink lists.
Oh, we make people that come to our circles do a kink list.
Not every time. Usually when we're doing a kinky cycle, like, right, okay, so we're talking about Christmas and our mothers. Here's the kink list.
Yeah, please do your kink list. Remember to do your kink list.
But the kink list
your homework.
Great, because you
it's
surprise
so
yourself.
good. And it's hot
so
just
good.
doing them.
It is hot.
Just
Have
like-
you done that? With
Yeah, we did it. Oh, I didn't do it with my partner. We did it together at a women's circle.
But yeah, when you go through it with your partner, you're like kind of listing off all the things that you like, and then you're discussing them all. It's really good foreplay.
It really is. It gets you so prepared. And then also, there's no weird surprises. Sometimes a nice little, consensual, we've spoken about this, but I didn't know you were going to do like that. Surprise is nice, but you do not want like that. The wrong kind of surprise during anything sensual, sexual. No, takes you
Like,
out.
let's lay it out on the table. Let's compare and see which ones overlap. Like, I feel like it's a great way to just open up the conversation, like early doors.
Yeah.
For
sure.
And would you say as a person, you are a jealous person? Do you think you're quite neutral with jealousy?
In the past, I have been very, very jealous. This relationship, I have not been jealous at all. I think maybe like right at the beginning, there was like an inkling, like a teeny weeny bit of jealousy because I wasn't like told about what they were doing. They were hanging out and they didn't tell me that they were also going back to his to have sex. And I was like, like I kind of feel weird about not being in the loop about that. So it wasn't necessarily like jealousy per se, but I think it's because I feel secure with them. Like, I think it's because I feel, I don't feel like no one, I don't know, it's a weird, maybe it's like you don't have that possessiveness in poly relationships. Like, possessiveness leads to jealousy. But if you don't have any possession of each other and everyone's allowed to do whatever they want, then jealousy doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. It's so interesting though, isn't it? Because you always think, oh, I've been jealous in the past, so I probably wouldn't suit a non-monogamous relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's like the complete opposite, which is really crazy to hear.
Yeah. And I also think that your security about yourself is a huge factor in jealousy.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you're feeling insecure about yourself, you're more likely to feel jealous. And especially if you're with a partner, because in the past I've been with partners that have made me feel super insecure about myself. And because it was like a mixture of my own insecurities and them putting more onto me, that's when I was at my most peak jealous.
Yeah.
But now I'm like pretty secure in myself. I know I'm a catch. I'm a great partner. I'm hot, I'm sexy, very interesting. I can be, I've got a good conversation. I can be funny sometimes, maybe not all the time. Usually just laughing at myself.
We think you're funny.
Thank you. So I'm like, I've got this at this point. There's no pressure. I've taken away
Yeah.
the pressure of like needing to have a partner. So what's the point of being jealous?
But that's probably it.
Yeah.
Because I do think that if you were getting into this being like, I want a partner, you're probably, I don't know, naturally going to want a primary partner. You're naturally going to be like, I need a lot more from this. But there's probably a refreshingness of like, well, it's not just me and someone else. It's me and someone else and someone else.
Yeah.
So this really is a team
It's a team
conversation.
effort.
And also it sounds like it's even more communication than most like relationships that are just two people.
Yeah, I think it's been like an express journey on like the blueprint of having a good relationship, because you learn so many good communication skills and relationship skills from having multiple people there. So like I kind of feel like if I go out of this relationship at any point, I'm going to be prepared in a way that I wouldn't have been before. And, you know, I'm not going to say that I'm never going to be jealous again. Maybe I will be in a different setup. But it's interesting that poly has the least amount of jealousy.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I think that, like, you know, this is your relationship and there are way more facets to it than it being sexual. But I always think that when we have these really amazing circles about different types of relationships and sexuality and kinks, I think that the types of conversations that you have with these people, they're so deep and affirming. And I think people just look at it from the sexual point of view and it's like there's so much talking that goes into it.
So much consent, so much communication.
So much communication so that you can have this gorgeous, sexy time because you've literally put in the work to be like, these are my boundaries, this is my safe word. I don't like this. I do like this. I like being spoken to. I like aftercare like this. And I think that every relationship, whoever you're with, you and your boyfriend, you and your husband, you and your partner, whoever, you should be having conversations like this anyway.
Yeah, it's cool because you're learning how to set boundaries. You're learning how to prioritize yourself. You're learning how to not rely on just like other people supporting you. And I think those are really important things. I feel like there's a lot of independence in poly life.
Yeah.
I think you would blow up. I think you would die. I think your jealousy would actually, you would blow up.
No, but the thing is, now I'm listening to this and I'm like, maybe it would cure my jealousy.
I feel like you just start off with something less aggressive first, like a trust exercise. I don't know, like, catch him. I don't know.
I'm just going to go straight in.
Okay, so I'm going to get a boyfriend and a girlfriend. My God. No, it's
the bisexual
true.
dream, so.
It is. You are living the bisexual cliche.
Yeah.
Like out in the desert with your cigars, on the porn sets, directing these fabulous, inclusive, educational pornos.
I feel like you just need to take a moment sometimes to look at yourself and be like, wow, like this life you have built, I know that you say it's lonely and isolating, but it is so cool that you have managed to...
She literally said that once. And you're like, I know that you're lonely.
I know how you feel.
But you direct porn and
so you can't be lonely.
And you're so beautiful. And I was like, don't worry about the internal loneliness. She's not even that lonely. You're literally putting this on her.
So
I was like, you'll be okay.
I'm just saying, it's a very cool life.
Thank you.
Oh my God. But no, wow. I think we think it's incredibly, insanely cool.
Your life story and your life journey, I feel like you have gotten to a really cool place and I think you should be proud of that. That's all I wanted to say.
No,
thank you so much. No, I really, really appreciate that. I think we all need to learn how to celebrate our own achievements more and not put our success and worth on money.
No, I know.
Yeah.
And that's hard when you're hungry, but
we're
smashing it.
We're all smashing it.
Yeah. We're all fucking smashing it.
We are smashing it. And when you come to London, we will kiki.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
For sure. Yay.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much, Florence, for this. This has been an eye-opening chat.
Yes. Is there anything that you want to plug? Absolute plug.
I would love to plug my book, which you can buy in the UK and America coming June. You can buy it from all the usual bookstore places. You can even buy it in a different language if you want. If you speak French, Portuguese, Polish, Spanish, Dutch, even. You can also buy, so it's This Book Will Make You Feel Something. So just search This Book Will Make You Feel Something or my name, Florence Bark, and something should come up. And also listen to the podcast that me and Reed do. It's a weekly podcast called Come Curious. And we just discuss sex on so many different levels with different guests every week. We have some really exciting episodes coming up. We just interviewed Erica Lust, who's like the queen of ethical cinematic porn production.
Oh my God, I'm going to be listening.
Dominatrixes and...
So cool.
Then we just banter as well, I guess.
We highly recommend. We love the podcast.
Women, I just love the fact that we're all just a bunch of women that like we
hyping each other
should
up.
Speak about anything and everything we want to, and
lay it out on the
particularly
table.
freaking sex, because I feel like we've been scarred by men
and shamed.
We should speak about it.
We should,
with our own excitement and in our own way. We're like, I love this. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
And
I love what you guys are doing as well.
Oh, thank you.
We're our own throuple.
Yeah, let's just have a throuple.
Honestly. But thank you so much. We will hopefully connect with you IRL at some point.
Yes.
And have a beautiful sunny day in California.
We are very jealous.
This has been You Good Girl with Florence Bark.
Thank you for listening.
Have a beautiful day.
Bye.